You best be getting your tinfoil hats on. It's conspiracy time. I love the fact that Polaroid exists in the year 2023. Polaroid is my go-to instant photography format. However, they are a business and they have been pulling some interesting things in the past year or so. However, the most notable one and the most hot topic here on this channel, and that is the Polaroid NOW Plus. This camera has caused quite the stir, and especially in recent days, with the release of the Polaroid NOW Plus Gen 2. Let's get into it. Now, if you're new to the channel and you have no idea what I'm talking about, the Polaroid NOW Plus and I go way back, all the way to 2021. That was when this was first released. And I was noticing I was having an issue with the exposure of all my pictures. They were all way overexposed. Some of them came out almost pure white. There was also some issues with the border having this weird black bar across the bottom of the frame. So I thought maybe it was just a bad pack of film. So I tested and I tested and I tested and I was getting consistent results. Now, this was shooting it outside. Indoors with the flash on, I was getting some decent results, but you could still see some of the overexposure in those tests. So I contacted Polaroid, let them know my findings, let them know who I was and that I was not quite the average consumer, that I knew a little bit about instant photography and how to shoot these types of photos, and that I had a YouTube channel. I linked everything, sent them a video of my findings, and their response was nothing. Didn't even hear from them. So I released the video and took no time at all for them to reach out to me personally on my Instagram page. They wanted to do a Zoom call and chat with me about my faulty camera. We chatted for a little bit and they said, oh, it's just the film. It's just the film, bad film. Even though I shot 6 packs of film through this thing. And I'll let you do the math on that, on how much I spent testing this camera, let alone paying for this camera out of my own pocket. I'm not sponsored by Polaroid and I seriously doubt I ever will. And the one thing that they told me on that Zoom call is that I was the only person to have this complaint and issue. I'm the only one that bought a camera, shot it, and experienced this overexposure. So they were saying that this right here was a fluke. It was an anomaly. However, you go to that video that I released, there was hundreds and hundreds of comments from you and personal DMs on my Instagram page. All my pictures are coming out overexposed. It wasn't just me. So what they decided to do was have me return the camera and they're gonna send me a new one, but with one little caveat, that they were going to hand test the camera and send it to me. Now, since this isn't a sponsored video or anything, that I paid for this from my own pocket, I appreciated that effort. However, I was still receiving a used camera at a full retail price of $150. So that left a little weird taste in my mouth. But I was thankful and grateful that they were working with me in the first place on this. And I want to point out that they did replace the film that I did use for that initial test. Once I received this camera, this is the second one I received, I noticed that still had overexposure issues and problems with the autofocus, choosing the wrong lens in the wrong times. That was extra frustrating. I let them know this. They're like, oops, sorry, don't know what to tell you. It worked when we tested it. And that was the end of it. Now, flash forward to October of 2022 during my Halloween special, season 3. I bought one of these brand new off the store shelf. It even said the year 2022 on it, because remember, this one is from 2021. So this, in theory, was a newer designed model, perhaps? And I went out and tested it. Still had the same problems. I didn't have any focusing problems with that one, but the overexposure issue was still apparent. And that brings us to today, with the release of the Polaroid NOW Plus Gen 2. It comes in a couple brand new colors, but it looks overall the exact same. And I didn't even have to do a lot of digging. A lot of you reached out to me, were sending me screenshots from conversations with people asking questions to Polaroid about this, talking about the internals, if things have been fixed. Someone sent me this Reddit post with a message directly from Polaroid saying, only difference that the camera has is the appearance, aka the color, and that the internals are the exact same, with the addition of a USB Type-C for charging. Because, you know, these are all been using micro USB. So no real difference other than a color and a USB port and the same retail price of $150. So what is going on here? Well, this is my conspiracy and what I think is actually happening. Polaroid cannot and will not acknowledge that there was a fault with their camera in the first place, the NOW Plus Gen 1. Why is that? Well, that's because if they acknowledge some sort of fault, they will have to do a recall of every single camera and refund everybody. That's not good for business. So how can they fix this without acknowledging that the camera was faulty in the first place? Well, they could release a Gen 2, change the color, add a USB-C port, keep the internals the same, but update the firmware to adjust for the shutter speed and light sensor readings. Yeah, that's probably what's happening. And in reality, they could have said, hey, sorry, here's an update for your camera, and all we had to do is plug it into our computer and do a firmware update, but that's not what happened. Instead, they pocketed the money, released another Gen 2, and making us buy another camera. And that is the conspiracy that I believe. To answer your burning question, yes, I will be purchasing this with my own money and putting it to the test thoroughly. And as always, when I do types of videos like that, I take my time. I released the first video of this a month and a half later after receiving this. Because when I do types of reviews like that, I want to make sure everything is lined up. I've tested every angle and put it in real world uses. I take my time when I do those. So that is why I don't have it now, and I won't be putting out an initial video for a little bit. So hang tight, there will be one coming in the future. Lastly, before we wrap up, I want to mention why I'm even making this video in the first place. You see, I do love Polaroid, and there's some people that are starting to not use Polaroid. I've talked to people that are boycotting them. I'm gonna call out Sweet Lou Photography. He's gone on record and made a video saying that he is done shooting Polaroid, for the time being anyway. And I may be thinking, well, Chris, you're telling people this really weird conspiracy and maybe discourage people from even buying their products in the first place. Well, I don't see it that way. Shooting film photography in the year 2023 is a luxury, and you can't go around pissing people off, because guess what will happen? People will stop buying the product. The community of instant photographers, and especially Polaroid photographers, are kind of small in the grand scheme of things. We live in a digital age, and there's other YouTubers out there that have millions and millions of subscribers for their digital photography, reviewing cameras and reviewing modern tech. However, on our scale in the instant photography world, we will never reach that level because there's just not enough people that are interested in instant photography. That's why I have this YouTube channel, to try and get people into the hobby, get more people involved in what we are doing, because that's going to cause Polaroid, Fuji, and all these other companies to survive a lot longer in a digital world. And Polaroid doing something like this is kind of causing people to wake up a little bit and stop using their products. Therefore, it only hurts them in the long run, and that could cause them to go away, and therefore we don't have film to shoot. So that's why I made this video. Do better, Polaroid.